Hey all, and welcome to episode number 16 of the Take10 podcast. I am back, and I am sorry that we have gone this amount of time without having an episode, and I do apologize about that. It is something that I have been thinking about and have been not stressed about, but it's definitely been top of mind that I just haven't had an episode come out recently, and wanted to give you all an update, kind of where we're at. And so a few episodes ago, I let you know that I was moving from Phoenix to the Salt Lake area, and so what has transpired is that I was able to close on a house in Phoenix and here in Utah. But in between all of that, I had to go back to Phoenix, pack up a U-Haul, put all the boxes in the U-Haul, drive it to Utah, put all the boxes in the garage. Was dealing with all of the closing on both ends. And when I was going into this process, I was more confident in my abilities that I would be able to consistently put out an episode. And I guess I probably could have, but I truly underestimated just how much time and effort would be going into the move. And then once all of the boxes were unloaded from the truck here in Utah, it was just like a mad dash to try and get everything unpacked and decluttered and all of that stuff. And when I wasn't doing that, I was basically just sitting on the couch staring into the wall, and so it's been busy. My mental capacity was a little bit more depleted than I originally thought that it would have been. So I am settled. I think we're now on track, and I'm going to be able to be a little bit more consistent for you. So I guess what I am saying all of this for is thank you for your patience. I appreciate your understanding. I hope you'll come back and you'll continue to listen to these episodes. And for the rest of 2023, we're currently in November, and moving forward into 2024, I do promise that I will be a little bit more consistent in getting these episodes out to you. So thank you for that. All right. So why don't we jump into our topic tonight? And it's a topic that I'm pretty excited about, actually. It is fall time. We're quickly approaching winter, and fall, at least here in Utah, is pretty spectacular. You're moving in from summer, transitioning into winter, and there is a moment in that transition where the fall colors and like the trees go from their lush green to these beautiful reds and yellows and oranges, and then ultimately when winter comes, a majority of the trees end up losing their leaves. And I want to use the changing of seasons and these trees to talk about our mental health, and specifically the resilience of trees and how we can compare that to our overall mental health. So I think that nature just provides us with metaphors that we can apply to various aspects of our lives. And so that's why I wanted to talk about this tonight. And trees in particular offer, a parallel to the concept of our mental health and specifically about resilience. And so tonight I'm wanting to explore the idea that just as leaves fall off trees in the face of challenges or in the changing of seasons, we too must not give up on our own mental health when we are faced with adversity. And so let's talk a little bit more about how trees and our mental health kind of go hand in hand. And so in order to do that, I'm going to kind of cover this in metaphor parts, I guess you could say. And we're going to get it out in 5 parts. So with that, let us jump in and talk about the resilience of trees and our mental health. Metaphor part number 1. And this is about seasonal changes and our overall mental health. As I mentioned, trees undergo seasonal changes with their leaves falling off during autumn time. And this is a natural process, and it symbolizes the transient nature of life, and that also fluctuations in our mental states are normal, just like the changing of seasons. In our mental health, we may face periods of hardship and emotional turmoil, much like the changing of seasons. However, like the tree's ability to grow new leaves in the spring, us as individuals do have the capacity to heal and recover from mental health challenges with proper support and self-care. Based on some data that was pulled in January of 2022, which is, we're going on almost 2 years now, so there may be some more up-to-date and accurate information. I just was unable to find it. But based on that data, it does state that recovery rates for individuals that are living with a mental illness, individuals with a mental health condition do recover by the vast majority. Now, those living with a mental illness, the recovery can vary based on a variety of different factors. And some of those factors that can influence our ability to recover could be the type of mental health condition that is that has been diagnosed. It could be the effectiveness of treatment, and then ultimately individual circumstance as well. But I think the overarching message is that many individuals that have a mental illness can experience significant improvement and go on to lead fulfilling lives as they get proper care. And so according to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, they found that about 70 to 90% of individuals that have a mental health challenge experience a significant reduction of symptoms and an improved quality of life. So that's awesome, right? That's saying, hey, I think that's a beacon of hope in that, hey, I may be experiencing something now, but the vast majority of people that may be experiencing something similar can go on to see a significant reduction of their symptoms and an improved quality of life. I will say that it is crucial to note that recovery of a mental health condition is very complex, and it's also a very individualized process. And success can be measured in various ways. And so when you're talking about recovering and being successful in recovering, it could include a variety of different things like symptom reduction, improved daily functioning, and overall enhanced well-being. So the things, so those are how you might measure success in recovering. And then the things that contribute to those positive outcomes, again, which we've talked about in prior episodes, is a combination of, things like medication, therapy, support network, and, potential lifestyle changes. All right. So let's move on to metaphor part 2, which is talking about rootedness. Trees are deeply rooted in the ground. It provides them with stability and resilience, even when there are strong winds or storms that come their way. So, similarly, in the realm of mental health, having a strong support system and a sense of rootedness, such as a stable community or relationships, can really help individuals weather the storms of life. I really can't overstate the importance of seeking help and connecting with others to have a positive journey through your mental health condition. And since it's so important that we have a good rootedness, I want to talk about some strategies that we can invoke to build strong relationships and connections to become rooted. Number 1, I'd say that it's important to have open communication. Communicate openly with your friends, with your family, and even your potential partners about your mental health and what you're going through. Sharing your experiences can really help foster better understanding and empathy. I think it's important that with your open communication that you're honest about the needs that you have and any boundaries that you may need to set for yourself. Having this clear communication really helps others understand what you're going through and how they may be able to best support you. Number 2, educate others. Kind of tied to number 1 in open communication is just being able to provide information about your mental health condition as we educate others. As you are open and providing information about your mental health condition to others, this can dispel myths, it can help reduce stigma, and it can help create a supportive environment. You may also feel like it may be an opportunity to share resources that may help others understand your challenges and how they can be supportive of you. I don't mean that this is something that you have to talk to everybody about to educate others. This may be just educating others within your social group, and it doesn't have to be everybody that you meet at the grocery store or on the bus or wherever it is. Number 3, self-care. It's critical to prioritize self-care to help manage your mental health effectively. And when we talk about self-care, this could be a lot of different things. It could include getting enough sleep. It could be engaging in activities that you enjoy. And it can even mean just maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So again, as we think about this one, going back to number 1 with communication, it's important to communicate your self-care needs to those that are close to you. And as you communicate these self-care needs to them, they'll be able to understand the importance of these practices, and they'll be able to kind of help keep you on track. Number 4, seek support. Build and look to build a support network that includes family and friends and even mental health professionals. As you build this support network, having people that you can rely on is crucial for your overall emotional well-being. If you need attending support groups or therapy sessions where you can connect with others who may share similar experiences, may be beneficial. Just being around individuals who have shared similar experiences and feelings and struggles and challenges can be incredibly powerful and impactful. And sharing with individuals with a similar background may also provide you with additional resources and tips and tricks on things that you may be able to do to help with your overall well-being as well. Number 5, I think it's important for us to set realistic expectations around our overall mental well-being. So this could include setting realistic expectations for both yourself and for your relationships. Understand that everyone has challenges that we're going through. It's okay for us not to be perfect, especially as we're moving into this holiday season. Realize that not any one individual is the same, and while it is difficult, try not to compare yourself to others and what they may or may not have. I think it's important for us to be patient with each other and yourself as well, especially yourself. As you look to build these strong social networks and your root system, be patient with yourself, right? Building a network like this is not going to happen overnight. Building strong connections will take time and effort. So give yourself some patience. As you're looking to build your root system and that support system in your life, I would encourage you to engage in social activities as well. That's step number 6. Participate in social activities that align with your interests, right? So you don't have to go out there and do something you don't want to do, right? That's not what we're saying. Do something that you enjoy doing. And this is really a great way for you to meet like-minded individuals and to form connections, right? This could be clubs. It could be a class that you've always wanted to take, or it could be a particular group that focuses on hobbies that you enjoy. Really what we're looking for here is an opportunity to connect with others in a supportive environment. So look to engage in social activities. Excuse me. Number 7, as we're looking to build a support system, ask for help when needed. Don't hesitate to ask for help when you need it. Whether it's emotional support or practical assistance, reaching out and asking for help really strengthens connections. You'll hear me say this a lot, but asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. So let me repeat that. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. And lastly, as we look to build our support group, look to practice empathy. Cultivate empathy for others. Understand and acknowledge the feelings of others that are around you and what they may be going through. And when you do this, you can really deepen your connections with others. Be a supportive listener. And show empathy to others in your relationships. So those are 8 steps that we can take to build a strong root system that will help keep us grounded and be able to weather the storms that life may send us. But I would say in these steps, just know that it is a gradual process. It's okay for us to take small steps. Really focus on creating a supportive environment that allows you to connect with others, while you're also able to prioritize your mental health. And then obviously, if needed throughout this process, seek professional guidance to navigate any challenges that you have in relationships if needed. All right. Metaphor part number 3, adapting to environmental changes. Trees are always adapting to their environment. They can adjust to the changes in temperature. They adjust to sunlight. They adjust to soil conditions, and just overall general seasons, right? They can go from incredibly hot temperatures in the summer to incredibly cold temperatures in the winter, and they still come out on top. And so in the context of mental health, being able to adapt is a key factor in our ability to be resilient. So as we look to adapt to surroundings while living with a mental illness, it's going to involve a combination of self-awareness, coping strategies, and even seeking support. So because adapting is so important, let me share a few tips with you to help with your ability to adapt and to be resilient. Number 1, work to become self-aware. And what I mean by this is be self-aware and understand your triggers and stressors in life. Identify situations or environments that may negatively impact your mental health. There may be certain situations that cause you anxiety or stress, or there may be just a general environment where it takes a toll on your overall mental well-being. And know that going into that situation, that may be a possibility that you may become stressed. Recognize early signs of distress, which will allow you to proactively address challenges before they escalate. So know, hey, I'm going into this situation that may give me some anxiety. Let me think about how that anxiety or stress may come on. And so that when I'm potentially in a situation like that, I can start recognizing those early signs, and then I can take steps to remediate that if I start to identify those things. Number 2, work to help develop coping strategies. So this is kind of tacking on to number 1. So first we want to be self-aware of in those situations. Here are the situations that may cause me stress. Number 2, here are some coping strategies that I can use to employ when I'm put in one of those stressful situations. And as we develop coping strategies, we really are looking to establish a toolbox of coping mechanisms that are going to work for you to help de-escalate the situation. And these mechanisms could include mindfulness, it could be deep breathing exercises, or it could be just engaging in activities that you find calming. So what I would say here is explore different techniques to help you cope, and then determine which one of those are most effective in the various situations that you may be placed in. I like to think of this kind of in the context of a sporting analogy. And so let's say we play football. I actually never played football, but it seems like this is the best analogy to use, so bear with me. But let's say you are getting ready for a big game, and the coach is like, hey guys, we are going to implement these new trick plays. We're going to catch the other team off guard, and that's really going to give us an advantage to win the game. In a situation like that, you are not going to just hear about the play and then implement it on game day without rehearsing through it in the week or weeks leading up to the event. And you wouldn't do that because you're not giving yourself a good chance to be successful in running the play. And so as we explore coping strategies, these are not things like, hey, I want to be more mindful, or I'm going to be able to deep breathe, and whatever it may be. And you're not just going to have it in your mind, and then when the situation comes up, you don't want to try being mindful or going through a breathing exercise for the very first time in a stressful situation. You want to do that or practice that on a daily basis, so that when you're put into a situation where a stressor happens, and you start recognizing that, oh my gosh, okay, I'm starting to get stressed. Maybe I'm getting a little bit of anxiety. Now I've already practiced my deep breathing exercise, and I can implement that now, and that will allow me to win that situation. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Number 3, work to create a supportive environment. Again, going back to the rootedness, having open communication with those that are around you about the needs and preferences that you have is critical. So help educate them about your mental health condition and the best ways that they can support you. And just surround yourself with people that are understanding and who are empathetic, and who can contribute to your overall well-being in a positive manner. Number 4, to become adaptable, establish routine and structure. And this could be a daily routine that provides a sense of structure and predictability in your life. So you have something to fall back on as like, okay, I'm doing this on a consistent basis. This is good for my mind. When you have an established routine and structure, it can help manage the symptoms and reduce the anxiety. If you need, break tasks into smaller, more manageable steps to avoid feeling overwhelmed. This is something that I really enjoy doing. Is just taking a project that I need to do, and then breaking that into steps. So if you're thinking about, like, let's say building a shelf, when the box comes, there's a bunch of different steps that you're going to need to take, right? And so the ultimate goal is like, hey, I want to build this shelf. Cool. That might be a little bit overwhelming. And so if you break it into steps, it may help with your feeling of being able to accomplish the overall task in the long run. So it's first step, I'm going to open the box. Second step, I'm going to pull out all the pieces. Third step, I'm going to put the legs together. Then I'm going to put the bolts in. Then I'm going to put the top on. And so as you break these down into smaller goals, your mind is starting to realize the progress that you're making, and it's allowing you to take those small incremental steps, ultimately until you are able to complete the goal of finishing the shelf. Number 5, and we've talked a little bit about this too, is in the earlier metaphor, we talked about establishing realistic goals or for yourself. Or we talked about setting realistic expectations. And for this one, we're talking about setting realistic goals. So as you look to establish goals for yourself, make sure that they're achievable. And then along the way, celebrate small victories and progress that you're making, and recognize that success doesn't always mean large accomplishments. Kind of like my shelf example, which I don't know. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But take a step back and be like, man, that those legs look really great, and I can see the progress that this table or this shelf is starting to take on, and then take and celebrate some of those small victories. And I think it's also important. This is not necessarily related to my shelf example, but as you're looking to set realistic goals, along the way, take a step back and see how you're doing. Adjust your expectations, and if you need to, change course direction and reset some goals, that's perfectly fine. But look to match your current capabilities and energy levels with the expectations that you have. Number 6, seek professional support if needed. Being able to adapt can be critical to talk to somebody. So engage with a mental health professional, whether that be a therapist or a counselor, and they will be able or can provide guidance and coping strategies that are tailored to your needs. This could also mean attending support groups where you can connect with others who are facing similar challenges. Number 7, I think it's important for us to maintain physical health. So as you're going through your journey, make sure that you prioritize physical health by adopting a balanced diet, getting regular exercise, and ensuring sufficient sleep. I think when we hear prioritize or maintain our physical health, we just think of straight exercise. And even when we hear that, it's like, I have to have like hardcore endurance workouts, right? Like, I got to be at the gym for X amount of time and got to like run a marathon, and then I'm going to, complete a stage of the Tour de France. And that's not maintaining physical health. It could be as simple as going for a walk around the neighborhood, doing some squats or some push-ups in your living room, or whatever it may be that just gets you moving and gets that physical health started. The other thing about physical health that I think comes to mind is that it's only exercise, but really having a balanced diet and eating good food plays a critical part in our overall mental well-being. And then sufficient sleep, right? We've got to rest our bodies, and we've got to be getting the rest and care that we need so that we can go on, the next day and the next month, the next year, for the rest of our lives. Number 8, establish boundaries. In order for us to adapt, we have to have good boundaries, and you can do this by clearly defining and communicating the boundaries that you have with others. And this can even include setting limits on the amount of social interactions or engagements that you engage in. It could be setting boundaries on work commitments and other just stress-inducing factors. So learning to say no when necessary is absolutely crucial for maintaining your mental health. So it's okay to say no, and just set clear boundaries with others and make sure that you communicate those to them. And last, reflect and adjust. I would say that it's important for us to regularly reflect on our mental health journey, assess where we're being successful and where we're not, and then adjust to ensure that we get back on track. So being able to assess what strategies are working and being willing to adapt those strategies based on changing circumstances is vital. I think also it's important for us to be open to exploring new approaches, and seeking additional support as needed is important. And so I would just be open that the one size does not fit all, right? And so sometimes I think we hear solutions that have worked for other people, and we just think that, well, that's going to work for me as well, and that there are no other solutions because it worked for this person. And that's not necessarily the case. So be open to trying something new if something is not working for you. And I think that will make a big impact on your journey. Being able to adapt to surroundings with a mental health condition is a dynamic process. It's going to take a lot. It's going to involve a lot of self-discovery and being able to make adjustments when needed. So prioritize your well-being, be patient with yourself, and remembering that if you ultimately need to seek help to be and build adaptability and resilience, that is a strength, not a weakness. Remember that from the prior metaphor. Remember that seeking help is not a strength. Or sorry, no. Remember that seeking help is a strength, not a weakness. There we go. All right, metaphor, part number 4. We're talking about perseverance and growth. Trees continue to grow despite losing their leaves. This symbolizes their resilience and the resilience of nature and its ability to endure. And in the same way, as we face mental health issues, we should not give up when facing setbacks, but instead, we should focus on our personal growth and self-improvement while striving to overcome our difficulties and build a stronger foundation for our overall mental well-being. It's important to remind ourselves that this isn't something that is going to happen overnight. It's going to take and be a gradual process. There may be some days where you feel like you are only taking steps back. So give yourself some grace and continue to move forward. As we talk about perseverance and growth, I am reminded of a story that was told to me about 20 years ago. And it has stuck with me to this day. And it's actually the story of Toyota. And back in the day, I feel like when I was told this story, it was like years ago. Like when the story was told to me in like 2005 or whatever, it was like 20 years ago or 30 years ago. So now and when I'm reflecting on the story, I still think it was 20 years ago that this process at Toyota was implemented. But if we're using like logic, that was now 20 years ago that I heard the story. So now we're talking like 40 to 50 years ago. So anyways, just a side note there. So Toyota was not always at the top of the car manufacturing game. I don't know what the stat is today, but the amount of Toyotas on the road is just absolutely crazy. And about 40 or 50 years ago, this wasn't the case. And actually, Toyota was kind of the laughingstock of the car manufacturing game. And they brought in this new CEO, and he set out to make Toyota one of the best manufactured cars in the world. And when the goal was set, it was laughable, because where they currently were to where the ultimate goal was so dramatic. But he incorporated a principle there that many are familiar with today, and the principle was Kaizen. And basically, Kaizen is never-ending improvement. And I've adapted Kaizen to my own analogy, and it's the word CANI, C-A-N-I. And it stands for constant and never-ending improvement. And basically this process, as it was implemented at Toyota, was how can we become a little bit better today than we were yesterday? And then how can we be a little bit better tomorrow than we were today? And when they implemented this at Toyota, it was really also through what I call decentralized command. It's basically giving power and the ability to make decisions to all levels of employees. And so rather than having managers and executives at Toyota make decisions on how they thought would best improve the process, they allowed the employees the opportunity to provide process improvement recommendations. And this gave them ownership. And slowly but surely, Toyota started making progress in the automotive industry. And it ultimately got to the point where Toyota was one of the most well manufactured and built cars in the car market. You've probably, if you're thinking about this right now, you can probably identify a 2002 Toyota, Corolla, or you insert the brand or the car make, but you can probably envision a early 2000s, late 1990s Toyota that is still running on the roads today. And we can apply this Kaizen and Kanai, constant and never-ending improvement, to our overall mental well-being as well. Sometimes where we want to be compared to where we currently are can feel like it's decades and light years away. But if we take small incremental steps forward, when we turn around and look back, we're going to be surprised at the amount of improvement that we've made. And so, while we feel like we may take steps back on some days, when we look at the overall trend line, we want to see that progress. So you may say, hey, I took 2 steps back today. But then you look back yesterday and you took 4 steps forward, right? And so that's the way that it sometimes is going to be with our overall mental well-being. It's not going to be every day is better than yesterday, but as we work to improve our overall mental well-being, strive to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. But also take a step back and look at the overall trending line. Are you making general improvements like you would like to? All right. Thank you for bearing with me on that one. Why don't we jump into metaphor part number 5? This is our final metaphor. And this is talking about preventing the falling of trees. And when a tree's leaves fall off, we don't immediately decide to cut it down, right? When leaves fall off a tree, we know that come spring, it's going to grow its leaves back. We recognize that it is a natural process and that the tree can and often will recover. Similarly, we should approach mental health challenges with the same understanding and also with the same compassion. Don't give up on ourselves. Don't give up on others when we or they are facing difficulties. Instead, provide care and support and foster healing and growth to the individual. Recognize that they may be going through a season. Recognize that you may be going through a season. That the season will not last. And that they will grow their leaves back once that season has ended. Providing care and support to somebody that is living with a mental illness is crucial for that person's well-being. And since it's so critical, let us talk about some practical ways that we may be able to offer assistance as well. 1, educate yourself. So learn about the specific mental health condition that the person that you love is facing. Understand what the symptoms are, what challenges the person may face, and the potential triggers that they may have. And as you do this, it'll help provide a more informed support of the individual. Number 2, listen without judgment. Create a safe and non-judgmental space for them to be able to express their thoughts and feelings. And this next part, I think, is most important. Don't offer solutions unless they ask for advice. Sometimes it's more important for you to be able to listen to the individual and for them to express themselves to you than it is about finding a specific solution. So focus on empathetic listening. Offer support and offer solutions if they ask. Number 3, be patient. This is a journey. for this individual. And it's a journey that is incredibly challenging for somebody that's living with a mental health condition. So be patient, understand that recovery and the progress that your loved one is making may take time. Number 4, offer practical help. So being able to assist with practical tasks when needed, such as cooking or cleaning or running errands, can be incredibly beneficial. Sometimes everyday tasks can become overwhelming for somebody that is living with a mental health condition. So being able to have somebody take care of some of those everyday tasks can be such a relief. Again, offer the assistance, and if they say no, that's okay. That's okay. Number 5, encourage professional help. Support their decision to seek professional help. Again, seeking help is a strength, not a weakness. And so if they are looking to seek professional help, whether that's through therapy or counseling or even medication, offer assistance in finding and accessing appropriate mental health services for your loved one. Number 6, check in regularly. Regularly check in on their well-being. See how they're doing. A simple text or a call or a visit, probably not unannounced visits, but a visit with their permission can really make a significant difference and show that you care and love them. Number 7, respect boundaries. Understand and respect this individual's boundaries. If they need some time alone, give them time alone. Respect their need for space. I think it's important that we are able to strike a balance between being supportive and giving the individual room to navigate their challenges on their own. So, respect boundaries. Number 8, educate others. Encouraging a supportive and understanding environment among family and friends and colleagues. Just helping educate others about mental health is so critical because it helps reduce stigma and it creates a more empathetic community. And as we do that, our ability to have conversations about mental health will increase. Excuse me. Number 9, just be mindful of the language that you use. Try to use language that is sensitive and avoid stigmatizing terms. Be aware of the impact that words can have on someone's mental health. By using stigmatized language, it can contribute to negative perceptions and help reinforce stereotypes about mental illness. And we don't want to do that. So it's important that we choose words carefully to promote understanding and empathy. We could talk more about this at a later time. I want to be mindful of our time tonight, but just some words to think about in the context of mental health that maybe we don't want to use anymore is like talking about people as being crazy or insane, or psycho or lunatic or things like that. It could be promoting this stigmatization of mental health conditions. So just be careful about language. The one that I will bring up, before learning about Alex's condition, I wasn't too aware of, but now every time I hear it, it kind of makes me cringe a little bit, is the phrase commit suicide. I hate it. And the reason that I hate it is because the term commit in relation to suicide has these legal connotations. And, people commit crimes. And so when you say commit suicide, there's this kind of it's an unstated, but it's like, it makes it seem like the person did something wrong. And so when you're talking about somebody that may have passed, phrases like died by suicide or they took their own life are probably more appropriate. But that's the one that I will dive into. And if you want to go more into some language and being mindful of language and phrases that we may want to avoid, let's talk about that in another episode. Let me know if that's something that you would like to talk about more. All right. So what I will say, though, is that it is essential to approach the conversations that we have about mental health with sensitivity and respect. And to do this, we can use person-first language. We avoid derogatory terms, and we want to make sure that we are recognizing the individual beyond their mental health condition. And as we do this, we contribute to creating a supportive and empathetic environment, not only for that individual, but for the mental health community. And as you're looking to support your loved ones, just remember that providing support is an ongoing process. And it can be challenging and it can be frustrating for you as well. And each person's needs are unique. So I would encourage you to have regular open communication, because that is key to our ability to understand how you can best offer assistance to a loved one or a friend or a colleague or whatever it may be. And when in doubt, always encourage professional help when needed and involve other supportive individuals in their network. So as we think about comparing trees to mental health, I hope we've covered a powerful analogy that underscores the importance of our ability to be resilient, and the enduring capacity of our human spirit. And just as trees stand tall and continue to grow even after losing their leaves, us as individuals should persist in our journey towards better mental health, seeking help and support when needed. The falling of leaves that from trees, it does not mark their end. And just as facing mental health challenges should not signify defeat. Instead, both the falling of leaves from trees and mental health challenges represent opportunities for growth, for renewal, and for strength. And I think that it really reminds us that with the right care and determination, we as individuals can weather life's storms and ultimately thrive once more. That is it for tonight and this episode of the Take 10 podcast. I wanted to thank you for being here along this journey, for your continued support. And as we enter the holiday season, it can be an incredibly challenging time for so many people out there, for a variety and for so many reasons. And when we get up each morning, we really have two options. We can choose to provide good and do good in the world, or we can choose not to. And if you're listening to this podcast, I already know which option you take when you get up in the morning. And that's the option of good. And your choice to do good doesn't fall on deaf ears. You make a significant impact, whether you know it or not. And as you go about this holiday season, I would encourage you to continue to make the choice each day to do good and to positively impact the lives of those that you come in contact with. And as you do this, even on little acts of good, they add up over time. And as we do them together as a community, those small acts start to build upon themselves. And as we think about it from the standpoint of Toyota, when we look back in 40 or 50 years as a community of people choosing to do good each morning, we're going to look back and we're going to see a significant impact that we've had on our life, on the lives of those that we live and work with, and in the world. So continue to do, to be, and to inspire good in all that you do. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Good night.